Let's talk about pensions. That's the biggest thing on the horizon right now, and a special session is expected within the coming months, probably October, right?
That's a speculation. We're speculating it'll probably be October by the time that we go into special session.
Okay, and what all do you guys expect to tackle in this special session?
Well, I think during this special session what you're going to see is strictly pensions. We'll focus on the pension systems and try to come up with some solutions in order to relieve our struggling budget as far as the pension systems are concerned.
So are you expecting to reform KRS and KTRS in this process?
I think right now we haven't developed any plans. We haven't come up with any solutions. Right now what we're doing is going through the data that we've been given. We're also looking forward to the next report that comes out from PFM to look at what suggestions they make, then we'll meet and talk about whether that's going to be feasible, any of those things that we can do to help with this situation. But I think what you're going to see is probably each system will be looked at, but each system will be looked at individually.
Now, like you said, there's not necessarily a plan right now that you guys have in front of you, but October is not far away. So is that a concern to some of the members that, we don't have a plan yet, but they're going to have to vote on something pretty soon?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there's a little concern out there, but they also understand the process, that the biggest part of this process is gaining the data, gaining an understanding of where we are, what we've got to do going forward, and then as we develop that plan, of course, they'll be kept informed as we go forward, and by the time that we come to the special session, we hope to have a plan that everyone's comfortable with.
Do you think that constituents of yours and of everyone in the House understands this issue fully enough to really grasp the depth of the problem and what you guys have to do to fix it?
Well, I think that everyone understands there's a problem out there, that we have to do something to fix it. I'm not sure everyone understands it to the depth that many in the legislature do, because we have that information coming at us every day. I think there are a lot of scare tactics going on out there as to what may be coming. There's a lot of rumors out there, and that's another good point, is anything that someone hears right now as far as the pension systems are concerned are strictly rumors. There has nothing been decided. There has been no plan laid out. So whatever they hear is strictly rumors at this point, because we just simply haven't got into any agreements and getting into any plans yet.
Now, to fix this, though, we're probably going to need a lot more money, because we have a lot of debt when it comes to the pension systems. But Governor Bevin has said we're not going to do taxes in this session. So do you expect to see tax reform in 2018 or in another special session maybe after the 2018 session?
Well, I think the pension thing has been such a big issue going forward. We've spent all of our time studying that, looking into it, researching that by the time that we get the plan out there, get our members familiar with it, and go into special session, we're probably looking at mid to late October is many of our opinions. So that taking up so much time before we got into tax reform, we're going to have those same discussions on tax reform, same type of meetings on tax reform. So by the time that we get into all that, we'll probably already be into the 2018 session before we can tackle tax reform.
And the 2018 session is going to focus solely, for the most part, on the budget. It is a budget year. So, but having these pension reforms done and knowing, that there's going to have to be more money, and if you haven't done tax reform yet, where does this money come from? Are you guys anticipating a lot of cuts having to be made? How are we going to balance a budget with this pension problem?
Well, doing the pensions first, we will get into any changes that we make could be potential savings, and so we'll know those potential savings going into the budget. So we'll have that money that we've already set aside that is coming back to the pension systems. But yes, no matter what we do, we're going to have some additional revenue. We're going to have to look at ways to increase revenue, but we need to do that through some type of growth. I mean, we've got great momentum coming from the 2017 session as far as the legislation that we've passed. We've had a record year for investments of companies coming into Kentucky. We've had a record year of job growth in Kentucky, and so we have to continue on that and expand our tax base through job growth.
Now, what else do you expect to see in the 2018 session? I know essential skills bill is probably back on the table. Anything else important?
Well, right now, of course, I'm co-chairing the adoption task force in the House with Representative Jenkins, and we're working on reforming that. There will be a combination of adoption and foster care reform, so that's going to be a big animal that we'll tackle this next session. But you put that in there with the budget, then you've got essential skills, and then any other tweaks that we make on the pension system through the 2018 session. That's a lot to pack into one session, especially when the budget is going to consume most of the time.
Absolutely. So most likely tax reform would be a separate special session.
Well, I'm not saying that either. We can work a little bit of overtime, I guess you'd say, in order to get the tax reform done during that session as well. But I think probably in order to come up with the best budget that we can, we have to do those things hand in hand.
Now, a couple things that are big on the Chamber's agenda left are some tort reform issues like peer review and the Essential Skills Bill. Do you expect movement on those in the 2018 session?
Well, I think that the last session we had the peer review bill. Simply, there's so much going on that during the session. That was things coming at us late. We didn't get to look at that as well as we wanted to. So I think it's something we'll look at this session. I think that you're going to see several alternate methods of case resolution come forward during this session, and we all know there's a problem there that we need to do something to make sure that we can cut costs on consumers as far as malpractice insurance is concerned, as far as health insurance is concerned, and we continue to have great health service in the state of Kentucky, and that we have plenty of providers.
And the Essential Skills Bill, do you expect that to see passage? I know Jonathan Schell's worked really hard on that bill, and the Senate says they're open to it this time.
Well, I think so. I think we'll see that bill will move again. I supported it last session. I'll support it again this session. It's as an employer and owning several small businesses, I see this as I interview employees for the positions, and I know that there is a need for those soft skills out there, and we need to start that in the school systems. As I do career days for some of the schools, I see that as I interview some of those seniors and juniors in high school. So yes, it's something that I think that we'll get movement on this next session.